just want to think about something that is given in by G.E. Moore and Bertrand Russell. In Bertrand Russell's Our Knowledge of the External World, he has a little part in there called Hard and Soft Data, where he talks about, walking around a table and putting on the blue spectacles, as that's where my channel name came from. And in G.E. Moore's article, or his article, Hard and Soft Data, I can't remember what the book that comes from is called. But in there, I'm gonna basically talk about G.E. Moore's, where he puts up a envelope in front of a class of people. This envelope is various people in this classroom, I guess, and he says that how all of you experience a different sense data, which is true. It's true that everybody, if we did do that, that we would all experience different sense data. A sense data is a patch of certain size, shape, and color, where that's essentially what we're talking about here, and various people are going to see different sense data of this one envelope. And if I had a envelope here, I would kind of move it around. If I show it this way, where you can see the little fold and everything on the long side, you can see it a certain size, shape, and color of it. And then if I turn it like this, it's a very thin line here. It's a very thin line of a certain size, shape, and color. I can turn it around, and there's a ton of different tons of different sense data, of this one object. So, what I'm thinking about here, I guess, is are all of these sense data? Is all this sense data? We're talking about an infinite number of sense data here. We're talking about an infinite number, primarily because it does. I can rotate it, like, even if I had the envelope like here, where you can see the fold, where you can put stuff in it. If I moved it like a little bit, there's various different kinds of sense data that are changing here. So I can move it around, however much I want to, but it doesn't matter, because no matter how much I move it around, no matter how many people are here seeing this envelope and how I move it around, it is an infinite number of sense data. I'm gonna get a coin here. Oops. Change. This is a quarter. I'm trying to be thorough in my explanation of this. If I move it like this, you're seeing a certain size, a certain sense data, a certain patch of a certain color, size, and shape. If you turn it like this, it changes a little. If I turn it like this, it changes even further. See how much it's different? If I can move it like this, it's even more different. Can you see however much I move this? We're going to have an infinite number of sense data, an infinite set of sense data attributed to this one object. Can you sort of see that? How that works? How I can turn it like this, and then backward, and then like this, and then all the way around. It doesn't matter how much I would turn that or move it, or how many people would be here in their seeing of this coin. There's an possible infinite set of sense data that can be attributed to this one object. So the question is, do we attribute all of that all of those kinds do we attribute that whole infinite set of sense data to that one object, or none of them? It wouldn't seem reasonable to me to only pick a few different kinds of sense data within that infinite set to attribute to it. I mean, I wouldn't see a lot of use in that, because then you wouldn't be able to figure out which ones you would attribute and which ones you wouldn't, because they would all work. So then the real question is, do we attribute all of them, all of those infinite set of sense data to this one object, or none of them? None of them. Attributing none of them to that would be saying that you are a nihilist, I guess, or that what you see is not, or that what is given to you in perception is not real when we're thinking about the actual object. That if we're not going to attribute any of them to this object, then we're really saying here that what we see in appearance and perception is not real, and there's noumena behind that is real, but none of this that we see is real. That's either nihilism or idealism, depending on how you phrase it or how you talk about it. There's various different kinds of theories in that. I don't know if you guys can hear that ambulance or whatever. Yeah, that's either an ambulance or a fire truck. Yeah, I hear a lot of those here. So the question is, essentially, what I'm thinking about here is, this very issue of sense data being attributed to this one object is what separates people in analytic philosophy, as well as other kinds too. But if we say that none of these sense data can be attributed to this one object, then we are going to be some sort of idealist or nihilist or whatever. That's very different ways of phrasing it. As an idealist, we could also say that none of them. We can say that some of them. No, we can say that all of this whole infinite set of sense data can be attributed to this one object, but then we could say that, well, we can still be a idealist, but we can say, well, there's things in our mind as well as things in the world that distort our perception of it. That's a different way of saying it. Or if we say that all of them can be attributed, that's a way of saying, it's a way of being a realist or an objectivist or whatever. But I just wanted to talk about this issue here in epistemology as well as metaphysics. A question of how this little one question can separate theorists in philosophy. So, let me know your thoughts on what you think about it. Me personally, I'm in phenomenology. I would say that is all given to me in perception. That's all given to me in perception. So there's no object I'm talking about here. So phenomenology, which is my thing, would say, what do you mean? What do you mean by this? By this question? All of them are in perception. So all of them are of the object, but there's nothing we're going to really talk about as a noumena or whatever. So phenomenology will say, what do you mean by this? Thanks. Let me know your thoughts on this issue. I wanted to pose it. So I'm thinking about kind of having a video which is a video that will introduce philosophy, to help those who would like to have a little bit of a grasp in it. So, thanks.